heavens. But wouldn't it be wonderful if when we were going up in the sky, we could look at all of those post-tribbers and say with a smile, I told you it was so. Wouldn't that be wonderful to be able to do that? Now, the bottom line is this, though, for us. Why is it that Jesus said, even though you're a church with little power, why did he say you're a church with little power, and yet, behold, I have put before you an open door which no man can shut? Is it because they were strong? No. Obviously, Jesus said, you are of little power. It is because they were faithful. He says this in the text. He says, because you have kept my word about patient endurance. They were a faithful small church, and Jesus said that I have put before you an open door which no man can shut. My dear friend today, what do you think that open door was? What do you think it was? I think it was because of the geographical location of Philadelphia. Philadelphia, which of course today is in modern Turkey, as you know, as all of these churches are. It was situated in those days along a very important trade route. And I think that what God was saying was this, you know, you're a small church and all, and you're weak, but you know, I am going to help you. In fact, I'll even take your persecutors and make them bow before you and acknowledge that I love you. But you have an open door. Why? Because if you evangelize and if you spread the gospel in your community, you live in an area that can touch other communities and other countries because of your strategic position. I think that's what the open door was. And now, my dear friend, let us suppose that we are having tea together. I was at a luncheon yesterday, and the waiter said to me, do you want tea? And I said, yes, in memory of Canada, I want tea, please. And I was in the South yesterday, and I thought I was going to get hot tea, and then I remembered, it's this iced tea. Yeah, okay, sure, I'll have iced tea. But let's suppose that we're having tea together. Let's look at Moody Church for a moment. What an open door. I was just thinking to myself, even if we just took the vocations that are here at Moody Church, because every vocation, the best way to spread the gospel is really through vocations and friendship. Every single study proves it so. The Bible proves that it is so. It is not necessarily in the large crowds. And today the crowds don't come because people think that the gospel has been marginalized and they see no relevance and no great need. And so what God does is, here at the Moody Church, we have representatives of business Chicago. We can touch the business community. Medical Chicago. We've got doctors and nurses and on various levels of work and involvement in medicine. Educational Chicago. We have people here who teach in the public schools. Not only who teach, but are administrators in the public schools. In fact, I had lunch recently with a man who may be here, who actually has responsibility for a whole area within the public school system. So we have educational Chicago. We have industrial Chicago. We could add, we have young Chicago. We have Latino Chicago. We have racial Chicago. We have the colleges and the universities. And what God is saying to us here is this, that strategically, here in the middle of the city of Chicago, I have set before you an open door, which no man can shut. And God may be saying to us, are we willing to work through that open door and walk through it, even at great personal cost? By the way, my list was made up hurriedly, and I didn't mean in any sense to list all of the different vocations and the way in which we can touch this city with the gospel of Jesus Christ. God has given us a new Christian Life Center. And, because of that, we have financial challenges. In fact, we've added 12% to the budget this year, primarily just to continue on in an even keel and to be able to think of the added expenses of the CLC, as well as inflation and in other matters, because it's all connected. It's connected. You say, well, can't we do it without money? Of course we can do it without money. But The money is used to facilitate what God can do here so that our impact in the city and around the world is much greater.
Well, this is Pastor Lutzer, and of course, as I was speaking in the message, I was talking about the Moody Church. But what applies to Moody Church applies to your church as well. I encourage you to give wherever you go to church. Support your church. Support missions. But most of all, I've been talking about the open doors that God has given to us. Certainly at this time of history, we have a wide open door to be able to witness. It is true that there are moves that are going against Christianity, even here in America. But we should not focus on those, but think of the great opportunities that God brings to us. And what about your next door neighbor? And what about your friends? Well, let's walk through the open doors God has given us.
Erwin Lutzer with more of When Jesus Observes Our Vision, his 7th message on what Jesus thinks of his church, taken from Revelation chapter 3. Tomorrow, more about the open doors Jesus sets before us. Running to Win comes to you from the Moody Church in Chicago. We all need to know what Jesus thinks of his church, and this entire series will be sent on CD as our thank you when you give a gift of any amount to support Running to Win. Just call us at 1-800-215-5001. That's 1-800-215-5001. Online, go to offerrtw.com. That's offerrtw, all one word, .com. Or write to Running to Win at Box 11174, Chicago, Illinois 60611. Join us tomorrow for our next Running to Win.